Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the third day of January 2019. So we have a 3-day, a 3-year. So mind, body, spirit alignment, a little bit of unification, maybe. It would be nice if that could happen in the Congress today when the new Congress takes over. Everybody starts working together. Well, we'll see how it goes, huh? Well, it's a Jupiter day. Anything could happen. It's expansive energies. So, if you're going to just remember that even though Jupiter is a benevolent influence, very positive, it's also very big. And so it amplifies things. So if you're doing magic today, you might, and you want to have something amplify your working, then you might want to choose that whenever Jupiter is today, whatever the hour of it is, you could use that as well to amplify your magical working, to increase its effect. Right now, though, the moon is waning, so, if you're doing a banishing spell, you get the idea. See, you could perform it on a Saturday, which would be ideal. But if you're really wanting to get your point across, then Jupiter works as well on a Thursday. So, or you could do it on a Saturday in the hour of Jupiter. So that might even be better, because then you could make use of both energies. So anyhow, food for thought. Let's count 13 and see what we have for today. The King of Cups. Well, we're going to just go ahead and do another card, aren't we? Whenever I'd get court cards, as you all know, if you've been here before, welcome back, by the way. If you're new, welcome. I draw 13 cards, or I count 13 to draw one. Okay, that's my process. 13 figures prominently in my life. If you've never been here before, I'll just go through it all real quick. And so I count 13 and I draw that card. I typically just do one, but if I do a court card, then I'm going to draw another card automatically, because court cards need somebody to interact with. Okay, and then sometimes if I draw a card that I just don't really know, I'll draw another one. Sometimes I'll do 3, and then when I'm done, I'll reach in the rune bag and I'll draw out a rune. And I don't, count 13 and draw the runes. That's just with the tarot. So I let the runes fall through my hand, and I take the last one. So anyhow, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The Sun. Well, the King of Cups is an emotional individual. Okay. Now he's looking to the future. You can see the water behind him. I think if you look, or he's actually it looks like he's kind of floating on the water, isn't he? Got the cup in one hand, a scepter in another. His right foot's almost touching the water down there. The King of Cups can be very passive aggressive. I'll just say this. I'm not a great fan of kings. Okay, I'm really not. I'm really more a fan of the queens in decks, And it's warm in the house, so I'm vacillating between my iced drink and my hot lemon water, lemon and honey. I do that every day. Sometimes I do it twice a day. Helps keep things alkaline, because sometimes I eat foods that are acidic and it's not good for my body. So I try to keep an alkaline state. And anyway, that's how I've been doing it. And it also keeps things moving through the body. And then I do herbal teas through the day. So I don't know. It's probably overkill, but I love it, particularly when my husband makes it for me, because I don't know what he does. He puts more honey in it or something. I don't know. Anyway, the honey is from our hives, which is really cool. It's really the first time we've taken any. So it's been cool to have that. But the King of Cups, it can be compassionate. He can be a wise counselor. He can be loving and all of that, but he can really get caught up in his own heart, his own head, his own emotions, and he can be passive aggressive. He can be sensitive, but he can also be shallow. Um, he can also be someone who's into thrill seeking. It reminds me in college. My degree's in psychology, and I remember one class on we just spent the whole class talking about high risk behavior. Um, you've got different types of personalities will engage in it. You know, passive aggressive will, manic people will, uh, narcissists will. They seem to like this. You know, sociopaths will. They like the thrill of it. You know, and somehow or another they like to manipulate people's emotions. Um, I would think the passive aggressive ones have a hard time because they can't really come to the center with anything. So they can't, it's almost like their feet don't always touch the ground. Like they can be, like imagine a balloon you keep up in the air by just touching it. You know, that's a passive aggressive individual. They can't really come to the ground and talk to somebody in a way that's balanced. And so the King of Cups is very much like that. You know, he's kind of halfway looking to the future, but in truth, because he's not fully turned, then what this tells me is that he's aloof and he's not really paying attention to anybody. He's just more into his own thing. And so when I pulled the sun. See, that's the 19th card of the major arcana. And there you're talking, you know, new beginnings and vitality. We see the purity, the white horse, the cherubic child. There's a sense of victory because you see that uh, well, the red fabric, if you will. I don't know exactly what it is or what they call that. Maybe it's a banner that's gotten loose. You see the sunflowers in the background. So victory, completion, new beginnings. Maybe new emotional beginnings. Uh, humanity's rebirth and awakening. You know, material happiness. The light returns. It could be success, happiness, partnership. When you see, you know, rider and horse, there's an element of partnership there and purity of the purity of the relationship. Not that this guy could care. Let's do one more card. Because what this tells me is that while the king is taking his eye off of things and is, you know, in denial, basically, the light's returning. So if we're looking at this in terms of progression, or it could just mean that the light is returned and the king is irritated about it and he's just not going to look. You know, I'm going to hold my breath till I get what I want. Well, the Knight of Cups. Some days you just shouldn't pull a third card, you know? Well, knights are youthful male energies, okay? They're on a quest. And you can see that you've got the purity there of the white horse. He's extending his chalice out in front of him. There's a swiftness to it. The horse is prancing. He's about to cross that uh, river, possibly, or looks like just a little creek, really. But this is a chivalrous young man. He's on a quest. He's a little dreamy. It denotes travel. He can be ruthless, but he can be a visionary. And so I think that when you pair these two together, and you're looking at some strong energy of transformation and moving into something better. while the king just sort of sits there pouting. I think if you're that kind of an individual, you know, if you're a strong, if you're a if you're a man or a male energy or a strong person, if you're emotional, if you're passive aggressive, if you're someone that likes to manipulate, if you or you have a tendency toward that, um, you don't live in clarity when you do that, and a new direction is typically needed. It gets old, you know, dealing with somebody who's doing that, who doesn't tell the truth, who tries to manipulate others to do what they want to do, what he wants them to do, and they tend to do it without any regard, you know, for the facts or the truth or anything else. Thurzaz, third rune of the Elder Futhark. So again, we're aligning on a 3, aren't we? This is Thor's rune. It's the thorn. It's defense as attack. In other words, you're defending. Maybe you do that ahead of time because you know. Here's the thing. I'm a martial artist, and I will tell you that when your opponent, in other words, you can tell when your opponent is going to throw a punch by a movement of the shoulder, or you know, your peripheral vision might catch movement down if his hand's down by his side, if he just comes up from point of origin and throws the punch from there. So you're going to see something telegraphed, but you're probably going to see it in maybe a look in their eye, or maybe a movement in the shoulder is going to telegraph something like that. And so there, you know, the punch is coming. And so that makes it a defensive. So when you respond, even if you throw the first punch, technically, you haven't thrown the first punch, have you? Because you've seen the intention, you've seen the movement of the shoulder, or whatever it is that's telegraphed that person's move. So basically, when they say defense as attack, you know, you might make the first move, but you're still defending yourself. Okay, someone's running at you. You might make the first technical shot, but you're defending yourself. So that's what they mean by that. But this is a good weather working rune. You know, if you need to break up the clouds, you can use it. You can chant Thurzaz. If you are trying to break through difficult situations, Thurzaz is helpful. But when it comes to a reading, in a divination, this tells me that we need to break through something. And it's this. The problem with this guy, and if you'll look closely, he's literally floating on the water. Now, you can see way in the background that's it's either a boat, it may be a boat. It kind of looks like a castle in the background, but I'm not sure. And if you look really close, it's funny, you should see his shoes. They're scaly, like he's a fish. And the look on his face, he just looks perturbed. Here's the thing. When you spend your time, see, check out those feet. Scaly like fish. But you see, he's literally floating on the water, isn't he? He's not integrated into anything. There's nothing firm. His feet are not firmly on the ground. Okay, so there's nothing that he's doing that's based on any kind of truth or any kind of foundation or any kind of structure that's going to be sustainable. It's always going to be in flux. And so what you need, when Thurzaz comes into play, what it's saying is we can't have that. Okay, we need to stop the influx motion of everything, and we need to get back down to getting things done and getting things and preserving our security. Because with the King of Cups, we don't have any. You can't believe anything the guy says. You can't trust any of it because he does not have his feet on the ground, okay? And right now, where we need to be is this. We need to let the illumination that we got from last year take hold. and we need to do something with it. We need to have vision. We need to express Thursday so we can break through. Let me see if there's anything else. You know, you have to catalyze change. Being the third rune of the Elder Futhark, that's what it's basically doing. It's a water element rune, or excuse me, it's a fire element rune. And it's going to catalyze change. New beginnings, new circumstances, protection, pushing the issue, dynamic defense and protection, Thor's hammer. It clears barrenness. So in other words, it stimulates things to happen. And that's what we need to have now. We need to have something, bring everything back into a cohesive order, okay? And that's what I think, between the cards and the rune, I think that's what we're talking about today. So, okay. Well, let's think about that then. If we are dealing with someone who's aloof in our lives, or if we're being that way with others, if we're not able to really come to the center with people, if we're not able to strike a good balance or to have a proper foundation, then, you know, maybe step out of the way and let someone else do that for you. Because I don't know, you know, get a clue. But you can't keep everybody in flux. And so you yourself can't remain in flux. If you're just experiencing that internally, you can't remain there. You know, this is a year where we feel we feel compelled to do something. And so, you know, staying in fluxes just isn't going to work for us. So in any event, think about that for today. Like I said, I got that year, or maybe I didn't. I got the year rune casting up on the blog last night. I finally finished that. Boy, I sure didn't like it when my internet was down. That was awful. On January 1st, can you imagine all the people in our area that were watching YouTube or streaming Netflix or Hulu or whatever, you know, and suddenly they can't do it. It's like, oh my God. You know, I was trying to write 2 blog posts and I couldn't do anything with that. And I had already done this and couldn't upload it. So it was just, you know, you just sort of sit in that little limbo and you don't know what to do. Anyhow, thanks so much for coming by. Again, if it's your first time, welcome. Please click subscribe if you haven't. I'd love you to do that. If you've come back, yay. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to see everyone. These things are fun to do. Check out the blog at imsteppingaside.com, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.